Okay, 2016 arrays and array lists, FRQ. Okay, doesn't initially look like it, but I think we'll see a little bit later on. Wait, hold on. Do we see it now? Did we see it now? Yeah, because there's an array list involved in that. Okay. The question involves two classes that are used to process log messages. A list of sample log messages is given below. So first off, you already look at this and you're like, wait. Why this question? Why? You can look at it and be really overwhelmed by it. But I don't think that is, like, you just have to kind of go in, take a deep breath, and just read. Okay? Alright, so this is the message. Okay, I'm reading it. Read error disk. Okay, right. Okay. There's some technical stuff here, but alright, I read it. Okay, so now what? What are you trying to tell me? Log messages have the format machine ID, description, where the machine ID identifies the computer and description describes the event being logged, okay, and exactly 1 colon appears in a log message. There are no blanks either immediately before and after the colon. Okay, so I think I get the pattern. I see machine ID, colon, message. Machine ID, colon, message. I thought that this might be important, or these, but I guess not for right now. Okay. All right. Right, so there's a constructor. Okay, there's some instance variables that are strings, and there's some methods, and I'm gonna have to write contains word and the constructor, and get machine ID and get description. Those are my getter methods. I'm most likely gonna have to use them in my problem. So it says write the constructor for the log message class. Let me go ahead and copy. Public log message string message. Write the constructor for the log message class. It must initialize the private data of the object so that get machine ID returns the machine ID part of the message, and get description returns the description part of the message. Okay. All right, so I've got to figure out given a message, I've got to grab what the machine ID is, and I've got to grab the description. So, wait, okay, so I know that what I can do is I'm gonna first, there's no return value, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure out where that colon is, because I know on the left side of the colon, it's gonna be the, machine ID, and then after that, it's gonna be the description. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say message.index of, index of the colon, right? Okay, yes. That's going to tell me the location of the colon. And what I can do is I can go ahead and set the machine ID to be everything that comes before that colon. So let me make sure I spelled machine ID the correct way. And then I'm also going to do the description. Seeming pretty straightforward so far. Usually when there's 3 parts, one part is going to be pretty easy, at least, hopefully. But it may only be worth like 2 points. Okay, so let's go that grab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say message dot, and if I want to grab a part of the string, I want to use substring. Remember, index of finds the location. It returns an int. It finds the location of a string, a given string, within a bigger string, right? Substring is going to go ahead and it's going to chop up and it's going to give me back a part of the string that I want. So substring works with strings and it returns a string back. So starting off at index 0 all the way up to the index of the colon, I want to grab that and use that for my machine ID because the machine ID comes before the colon. Okay, and then this description is everything after. So I'm going to say message.substring. I'm going to say index plus 1 because the colon is only 1 index long. Yeah, so starting at index plus 1, I'm going to grab everything. Index is not included at all. Like the value at index, which is the colon, is not included in the message ID or the description, and we don't want that. Okay, and there's no spaces. I said there's no spaces before and after the machine ID, so I don't need to, before and after the colon, so I don't need to think about that in my answer. So that looks pretty good, okay? All right, so I feel pretty good about part A. Okay, let's move on to part B. Okay, so for part B, I have to write the method contains word. Okay, so let's go ahead and first off, let's just look at the method. Public boolean contains word, and it has a string keyword, and then so it's going to return a Boolean. So I'm going to just go ahead and create a Boolean right up the top. I'm going to say Boolean result. I'm going to set it to false. Okay, and I'm going to say return result. Again, this is my pattern. This is what I do. I love to take this return value and create a variable for it, because that helps me to make sure that I don't forget that everything I'm doing is geared toward doing this thing right here. Okay, so it says write the log message method contains word, which returns true if the description in the log message properly contains a given keyword, and returns false otherwise. Okay, a description properly contains a keyword if all three of the following conditions are true. The keyword is a substring of the description. Now this is a little bit of a trick, because it's saying substring, but I don't know if we actually want to use substring. Because if we want to find a string within a string, we can use index of. So that was a little bit of a trick. I saw that right away. I'm going to note this down here. Int index gets right. So so I'm just going to write this down just as a note to myself that I need to find some sort of index, right? So right. And then the keyword is either at the beginning of the description, or it is immediately preceded by a space. Okay. Okay, all right. So I have to see if there's a space in front of it. Okay. Right. Okay, the keyword is either at the end of the description, or it is immediately followed by a space. And all three of these conditions are true. Okay, so, so I'm going to need some if statements here, right? I got to check to see if, first off, I need to figure out if the string is within, the keyword is within the description. And I've got an instance variable called description, right? So I'm trying to see if the keyword is in the description, and so I'm going to have to use index of. I know, they really messed us up with that substring, but index of really is what's going to tell us whether or not a string is within a string. Substring is just going to give us that like given a number, it's going to give us that that part of the string. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say description, and I can just say description because I'm writing this method within the LogMessage class, so I can directly refer to the instance variable. So I'm going to say description dot index of, I'm going to say keyword. Okay, so if the index, if the index is not equal to -1, then I know that for sure we are home and dry, right? We have passed the test. Our result is still, we're good to go. Actually, here, I want to think of, I can change this, right? Let's go ahead and assume that our result is true. Because then what I can do is that I can say, if this is equal to -1, right? So that means that we didn't find the keyword within the description, and we can go ahead and return false. Okay, that's done. So now let's move on to the next one. It says the keyword is either at the beginning of the string, or it is immediately preceded by a space. Okay. The keyword is either at the end of the description, or it is immediately preceded, followed by a space. Okay, so then what I want to do is try to see if I can write a Boolean expression that is going to describe this situation right here. Okay. So we can check to see if that keyword is at the beginning of the string by checking its index. If the index is equal to 0, oh, wait. Yeah, if index is equal to 0, so that means that the keyword was found at the beginning of the string. Or, we want to check about the letter. We want to check to see if the, if the string at the letter before, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and create a variable. I'm going to say string previous car, right? Previous character. Right, I can figure out what the previous character was in the string by saying, what can I say? I need this index. I can say description dot substring, and I can say index -1 to index. This is going to grab the character that came before. And so if that previous character is equal to the empty space, like this, then I can go ahead and, well, yeah, so if this is true, then I'm all good. But I can't return true just yet. So what I want to do is I want to do something like here where if the criteria isn't met, then I want to go ahead and return false. So I'm going to say if the index is not equal to 0 and the previous character is not equal to a space, then I'm like, okay, I'm done. Return false. Okay, so if the index is not equal to 0 and the previous character is not equal to the space, return false. Ooh, I don't know if I said empty string. I meant to say equal to like a space character. Okay. Now I have to check for the last one, and I believe my code is going to be pretty similar. I'm going to say something like string next character, and that is going to be description dot substring wait a second, this is a problem. This is a problem because if I try to do description dot substring index -1 and this really is at the beginning, wow, this is a lot to do in a small amount of time. Okay. A lot to think about in a small amount of time. Okay. So if I try to do this, I could potentially get an error because it could be that if our index is 0, I'm going to be trying to access the -1 index, which doesn't exist. So what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to switch this up. Yeah, I'm going to have to switch this up. Let me take this out for a little bit. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to first, let's do this. I'm going to have to first check to see that the index is not equal to 0. Okay. And then, if the index is not equal to 0, then I'm going to need to go ahead and write another if statement here. Oops. And I'm going to check to see that the previous character is not equal to this. Wait. Okay. And so if that's true, right, if it's true that the previous character is not equal to the space, then I can go ahead and return false. So I actually need a nested if statement in this case, or I just need some way to like verify that this is not true before I go ahead and try using this. Okay, they almost got me. They almost got me, but not today. Not today. Okay, so now we're going to do this next one here, and it should be very similar in structure here. We want to go ahead and we want to first check to see that our character is not at the that our keyword is not at the end of the description. So basically what I need to do is I need to check to see if index plus keyword dot length, if that is less than keyword, or no, description dot length, which is basically like, this is like taking the location of where the keyword starts, counting up how many characters there are in the keyword, and if that index that we end up getting as a result of adding these together is less than the length of the description, then we can go ahead and we can proceed. We can proceed. We can now go ahead and we can check to see, because this means that this is not at the end. That means that the keyword is not at the end of the string. Oh wait, description.length -1. Good, okay. Yeah, okay. I think that works. Ugh. There's lots of indexing we have to think carefully about. Okay. Right, so if that's true, then I'm going to go ahead. If we're not at the end of the string, then I can go ahead and I can get the next character in the string. So I can say next character is equal to description, substring, index, comma, index +1, comma, index +2. And that is going to get me the character that comes after the index. I'm going to check to see if that is not equal to space. Then I can go ahead and I can return false. Whew. Okay, so I think I got it. Now, woo, that was hefty, right? I'm hoping the next one is going to be nice and easy. Okay, because that was kind of hard, actually. It was kind of hard. Okay, but if I made it through all these tests, right? If I made it through this test, and I made it through that test, right? This is test 1, and this is test 2, and this is test 3, third bullet, second bullet, first bullet, right? If I can make it through all of these tests, then that means that I can go ahead and return the original result, well, the only result, which is true, okay? That's the only value of result that I ever set it to. Okay, whew, and now there's a part C. Okay, assume that the log message constructor, oh no, yeah, we already did that. Okay. You could look at this and be like, why APCSA? Why College Board? Why? Okay, this question is really beefy. So I imagine that in years past, this probably was a problem that students lost a lot of points on, just because of the sheer nature of how long it is. But let's see. I've got 4 minutes. Let's see if I can do it. The system log class represents a list of log message objects and provides a method that removes and returns a list of all log messages, if any, that properly contain a given keyword. Okay, I think I got it. I think I got it. Okay, imagine I'm just gonna go based off of what I think it's doing, asking me to do. Oh, actually, here. What if I just read this? Removes from the system log all entries whose descriptions properly contain keyword, and returns a list, possibly empty, containing the removed entries. Okay, I think I got it. Whew. You could look at this and be like, wow, I'm done. I can't do it. I don't have any more time. Yeah, this one is kind of mean. Feels mean. But maybe not. They just want to train you up to be amazing programmers. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my trick. I'm going to say list log. Now, list is another data type that is available, like a list as opposed to ArrayList is another data type that is available in Java. I think they've removed that from APCSA, so for now, like, we'd only use ArrayList, but it's the same idea. I'm going to call this result, and I'm going to set this to be a new list of log message objects, and put my little braces, and then I'm going to say return result. Okay, good. So now, what I need to do is I need to go ahead and I need to loop through all the messages. Do I have an array list? Do I have a, oh yeah, okay, I've got a, okay, yeah, I've got, yeah, an array list, and it's got message log objects in it. So I'm going to say message log, I'm going to call it ML, and I'm using a for each loop to iterate through wait. Nope, they messed me up here. I'm gonna need a normal for loop, right? Because I need to not only remove those old messages, remove the messages from the original message list, but I also need to put them into a new list. Okay, all right. All right, so what I'm going to say is message list dot size, okay, and I'm going to say index plus plus. I've got the right idea. I think I know in my mind what I need to do, and now I just need to tell you what my idea is. So the idea is I'm going to loop through every single message object, log message object in this message list, array list, or list. And what I'm going to do, log message. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this, I've only got 80 seconds. Okay, I'm going to call, it's going to be message list get index. Okay, can I do it? 60 seconds? Okay, I basically need to call this method that I wrote before, contains word, and I'm going to say if, wait. Okay, I'm going to say if lm.contains word, keyword, right? If that is true, right? It contains the word and it's properly contained here, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do two things. I'm going to go ahead and say 30 seconds. Message list dot remove the value at the index. I'm going to remove that object. And then I'm going to say result dot add lm. Boom. And at this point, I would have no more time on the exam. But I think I would get the points. Maybe. Right. So essentially what I did here, and again, at this point, I would have to move on to the next question. And I wouldn't have enough time to check my work. But essentially what I would do here is, yeah, I'm looping through every single message in the message list array list. And again, I didn't even read through the whole problem. I just made a guess based off of, well, actually I didn't guess. I made a, kind of an educated guess based off of like the name of the method, and some of the information that's here, and then some of the information's here. I went through and I grabbed all of, individually, I used each index in the message list, array list to grab all of the log message objects. So I did that. Okay. And here, let me change this so you can see how the code actually properly looks, right, when it's not crushed up like this. So I used each index within the message list, array list, or list, to create or grab the log message object, and I called it LM. And then I used LM to check to see, and hold on, is contains word a log message method? It is, right? So I used this object that I grabbed from the array list to check to see if it has this keyword. And if that's true, yeah, it's properly contained, then I wanted to go ahead and remove that object at that particular index from the message list and go ahead and add that object, which I called LM, to the array list. Now, let's see if there was a particular order that it had to be in, because if there was a particular order, I messed up and maybe should have did some other things here. But let's take a look closer. There are some examples. I want to try to keep this video pretty short here, but it says entries in the return list properly contain keyword and are in the order in which they appeared in the system log. Okay. They should be in the same order. So did I make sure that they were in the same order? I think so, because when I say add, I believe that the messages get added to the front of the list. That is a good question. I'm not sure. I might have made a mistake here. I might have needed to add in an index to make sure that the messages get added to the back of the list. But I think when we say add, it just automatically adds the objects to the back of the list. So as I go through each object, if it meets the criteria, we add it to the list. Okay. Right. So I think that's okay. The remaining entries in the, hope it's okay. Remaining entries in the system log do not properly contain keyword and are in their original order. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. The return list is empty if no messages properly contain keyword, which is fine, yeah, because I created this array list that had nothing in it, and I return it. So if I go through and I don't find any that properly contain this keyword, then nothing gets removed from the message list and nothing gets added to the result list. Okay, right, so here, and then it gave me some examples, right? Here, right here, so this is an original example of some log messages, and it wanted to remove all the messages that don't properly contain the word disk. So that one would be removed, I think. This one would be removed, and then this one would be removed. So yeah, so, and then these ones should be left over. Okay, I think I did what I was supposed to do. That was a tough problem to do in a short amount of time. But remember, the AB exam is curved. So if a whole bunch of students are struggling on this, then like that you know can work in your favor as well in terms of the scoring. Okay, but that's how you solve this problem. It is a combination of so many different skills that we have talked about, but the biggest thing is just knowing that when you go through these problems, like again, use my strategy of starting off with the value that you're going to return, then go through and use, you're going to have a for loop, you're going to have an if statement, right? And the biggest thing is to like think about what methods are going to be helpful for you. Even though I was running short on time for this remove messages method, like I immediately thought like, oh wait, there's a method that can help me out. It's the there's a method that can help me out. It's the method that I just wrote, the contains word. You should always be thinking like, hey, if there's a method, you should always be thinking that if there's a method that you have to write, it's probably going to help you out in some way or form. Right. Okay. One thing I'm thinking about though is that I did not use these getter methods at all. So I'm wondering if I may have messed up somewhere. Well, let me see. This might be an example where there are some getter methods that I didn't necessarily have to use, but I could be wrong. Okay, so that's one thing that I'm thinking about. So when I go back and use my rubric, and maybe you can find my own error here, right? I did not use the getter methods at all. So that could be an indication that something isn't quite right. Aha, I see what it is. Let's see what it is, right? I said, oh wait, no, maybe not. No? Oh, I don't know, I don't see it. Okay, so this is my solution. And hopefully I didn't make mistakes, but if I did, it's a good learning experience as well. That's it.